going on, Imperials? It's Emperor Cubone here. The Alola region has a smaller but hardy roster of more strongly themed Pokémon than usual. So many people may not care for certain themes, but other ones are clearly fantastic entries. So with such stylized directions, surely the Gen 7 group could yield some Pokémon that go beyond the traditional dual typing and actually have 3 different elements under their belt. Starting with number 6, Decidueye. Rowlet was easily my favorite starter of the 3 when they were first revealed, and it retained that title when they reached their final evolutions. Decidueye may be a bit of a role-playing character, but it makes more sense than most of the specific recent gen starters, in that if a bird like this had such a handy trick for battle, I could see it being widespread across the whole species. Anyway, Decidueye became quite famous for becoming the first Ghost-type starter, leaving Grass and Ghost to be weak against Fire, Flying, Ice, Dark, and Ghost, while it resists Grass, Electric, Ground, Water, and is immune to Normal and Fighting. So pretty decent, but what else could this Emerald Archer have under its cloak? Well, you've probably caught on that the previous 2 stages are Grass and Flying, and while I get the reasoning for why Decidueye changed due to Hawaiian owls and all that, it really didn't lose anything to make it less of a flying animal. I mean, it can still fly, and it has a good portion of flying-type attacks in its arsenal, so it easily could have been kept. Flying is weak to Electric, Ice, and Rock, while it resists Grass, Fighting, Bug, and is immune to Ground. So if you combine the 3, it would make Decidueye weak to Fire, Flying, Ghost, Dark, Rock, and quad weak to Ice, while it would resist Water and Bug, quad resist Grass, and be immune to Fighting, Normal, and Ground. As balanced as that seems, I would gladly trade a single crippling weakness for 3 whole immunities, especially when you do have super effective moves to cover some of your other weaknesses too. Decidueye is just a great all-around Pokémon, being one of the most popular grass starters in a long time, and I think given some of its characteristics, we could definitely see triple types coming from our Arrow Owl friend here. And that's not even mentioning what it has going on with its Hisuian form. Number 5. Blacephalon. Honestly, maybe all of the Ultra Beasts could be argued to be worthy of triple types in some fashion, however, I think the Ultra Game edition of Blacephalon might be the most standout option. Currently, Blacephalon is a weird, jovial, ethereal firework, or so I'm guessing, because it is a Fire and Ghost type. This leaves it weak to Water, Ground, Rock, Dark, and Ghost, while resisting Fire, Poison, Grass, Ice, Fairy, Steel, quad resist Bug, and is immune to Normal and Fighting? That's actually pretty great. But what in the world could this thing need? Well, you see, Alola came out only 1 generation after the introduction of the Fairy type. And while I do think Gen 7 did handle variety of fairies better, I still think they could have done more, namely because we still don't have it combined with the fire type yet. I don't even know what makes Blacephalon a ghost when it clearly seems like it should be a fairy, especially when this gen began with a clown starter that turned into a fairy type. So this other clown shouldn't be one too? Maybe it's ghost because it keeps blowing its own mind, I don't know. Fairy is weak to Steel and Poison, while it resists Dark, Fighting, and Bug, and is immune to Dragon. So together, the Fairy weaknesses would actually cancel out, leaving only the same ones as before, but also canceling out the Dark, making the resistances Grass, Fire, Fairy, and Ice, while creating an 8 times Bug resist and immunities to Normal, Fighting, and Dragon. I didn't think that this would work out so well, but paring down the weaknesses only to essentially get 4 immunities makes the Fairy-type Blacephalon a must, and would make it even scarier to face this Rocket's red glare. Number 4. The Pikipek line. When first revealed, I liked Pikipek pretty well, but each time it evolved, it kept sliding down the rankings. I think Toucanon is fine, I just don't know how well it works as the regional bird. See, a lot of this disappointment comes from the fact that it follows Fletchling, or more accurately, follows Talonflame. This was the first time a regional bird was anything besides normal, and then after that they just went right back to the same old boring convention. I have the same issue with Yungoos as well, but one thing at a time here. Normal and Flying are pretty basic. They're weak to Electric, Rock, Ice, and they resist Bug and Grass, while immune to Ghosts and Ground. Honestly, I thought it would be a no-brainer to make a Woodpecker a Grass type, and yeah, I know that I already mentioned this region's Grass starter was also a Flying type too, so it wouldn't be good to double up. Okay, fine. As much as I would attribute that to poor planning, we can leave out the grass. But that still makes this line way too boring, so instead, we'll wait and give Toucanon Fire. Again, I know it's a repeat of last gen, but that would only really be a problem if it happened for a third time in a row, you know, like Embor. See, Toucanon deserves the fire type because it is in fact heavy artillery. I mean, it's right there in the name. You might say that should make it steel in some way, but its beak is a renowned source of immense heat, allowing it to basically become a neat little birdzuka for any trainer that wants one. Fire is weak to ground, water, and rock, and resists grass, fairy, fire, bug, ice, and steel. So when put with its current typing, it would make Toucanon weak to electric, water, and quad weak to rock, so at least the ice cancelled out, right? And then it would resist steel, fairy, fire, quad resist bug, and grass, and be immune to ghost and ground. All in all, it's not that bad, but we don't really need a Charizard that ain't afraid of no ghost, so I'll leave it up to you on whether these stab fire attacks would be worth it on our well-armed friend here. Number 3, the Jangmo-o line. Kinda like the last entry, I thought Jangmo-o was a brilliant design, and it was well in line to become my favorite pseudo-legendary since Gen 3, but then it evolved and my hopes were dashed. I know lots of other people out there like them, and that's fine. With a typing like that, I can see why. Dragon and Fighting is weak to Psychic, Flying, Ice, Dragon, and quad weak to Fairy, but it resists Water, Bug, Electric, Rock, Fire, Dark, and Grass. So there are pros and cons all around, but it is pretty good offensively. But I don't think it's any surprise that these Pokemon should in some part be Steel types. The whole Kommo-o line is highlighted by the durable plating that adorns their body. And it would be one thing to have just thick skin, but the Pokédex specifically calls them metallic, citing these noisy plates as steel itself, not even a different material. So I can appreciate that they wanted to make it a unique typing, but if you're wanting to make it a fighting type, then don't cover it in metal armor. Steel is weak to fire, ground, and fighting, and it has several fistfuls of resistances. You can check out all of those on your own on the side there. But unsurprisingly, it's better when you combine them together, as it is only a regular fairy weakness with ground and fighting tacked on, all of the rest cancelled out. And it resists water, normal, steel, electric, dark, quad resists bug, rock, and grass, and is immune to poison. Maybe that would make Kommo-o a little too strong, but at this point it's just ridiculous that Steel was left out of the consideration. Number 2, Solgaleo. Whereas this Pokemon has the opposite problem. Not that the Steel isn't deserved, it was just confusing for a lot of fans. I know that it's connected to alchemy, which is probably where the Psychic type comes from, and a lion that eats the sun or whatever, and that's why it's metal as well to match up with that. And that's a pretty good thing because Psychic and Steel is actually a great pairing. Weak to fire, ground, ghost, and dark, while resisting grass, ice, flying, rock, normal, dragon, fairy, steel, quad resist psychic, and is immune to poison. So this works out in its favor, and I can't see where they get both of its typings. However, that being said, it is still a creature inextricably linked to the sun, even being the mascot of Sun version, so many people were wondering why it wasn't a fire type. And I think that is valid, if for no other reason than its signature move, Sunsteel Strike. You can add in the word steel to the name all you like, but since there is no metal in sight and it's coated in fire ejecting out of the sun, how is this not a fire type move? It even has a form that has it glowing as the white-hot surface of the sun itself. So don't tell me that it's only a herald of our closest star, it's clearly got some deeper internal connection. So we saw fire earlier in the video when we followed our nose. So if we put it with current Solgaleo, it still only has 4 weaknesses, with water, dark, ghost, and granted the last one is a 4 times weakness to ground, but it still resists flying, normal, dragon, bug, quad resists psychic, steel, ice, grass, and fairy, and is immune to poison. So numerically, Solgaleo's effectiveness doesn't change at all. However, much of these are cranked up. So seeing as how the excessive resists outnumber all of the weaknesses means that I would still take it with the foreboding ground type looming out there over the scorching stellar lion and make it worthy of competing with the sun. Number 1, Dhelmise. Back when I first started this series, Dhelmise was a Pokemon that Imperials instantly pointed to, and for good reason. This thing is one of the weirdest Pokemon to come out in a while, and it caused a few people to scratch their heads because currently Dhelmise is Grass and Ghost. I didn't mean to do that twice on the same list, but here we are again. But you can see where both of them are coming from with the whole haunted seaweed angle, so you can't really get mad at the thing. However, it also pretty heavily has steel influences, from being primarily made of an anchor as well as other metallic materials, but there's also the steelworker signature ability that basically makes it have a third stab type, making this currently the closest Pokemon in existence to actually having triple types right now. So with the strong steel type added in full, those three types combined together would result in weaknesses to Dark, Ghost, and a quad weakness to Fire. That's it. But it would resist Psychic, Electric, Bug, Rock, Water, Fairy, Dragon, Steel, quad resist Grass, and be immune to normal, fighting, and poison. That is phenomenal. But that's not even all, because as you might have noticed, Dhelmise could also easily be a water type since that's where it lives. The water was actually the only place to find it in its native region. So it could either have water as a third type, or be yet another Pokemon that could believably have 4 types given its makeup. So I think it's clear that Dhelmise is capable of shouldering far more than it currently has, practically bursting at the seams with all of the types that it's trying to fit into one container. But those are the Pokemon from Alola I feel most likely to be triple typed. And of course this is far from an exhaustive list, so let me know which Gen 7 Pokemon you would choose down in the comments. Also be sure to leave a like, share this video, and subscribe so that you too can become an Imperial today. And until next time, stay grounded.